just change the way this thing focuses, so maybe that'll be better, I don't know. So now I'm kind of continuous autofocus. Maybe worse. But here are the chips. Aren't those cute? Let me just put them back to bed. Poor little things. I'm not scared of worms, by the way. The glove is there to protect the worms. Alright. Zap out of that one. So look this one. This one is full of essentially, yes, Senior Andre. Go in here, so we'll go in here. Instantly, there you will see these on the surface, if that's coming up. And you can see they're not as big. There's another one, but there's loads of them. And these guys just munch away at everything. It's also pretty wet, but they're nowhere near as big as the friends over there. These get obviously a lot more green stuff. I think they like the green stuff better than paper or whatever. There's some dendras in there. There's a dendra. So the dendras go walkabout, and because this doesn't have a lid on it, I just check them in here. It's a philosophy I've got to make sure that's exclusively dendras and nothing gets shoved in there that might just contaminate them, because I want them for Peter in the town. There you go. Odd dendrit in there. Even like it being picked up. Mainly Senior Andre, I think. But a lot of them, I mean, these things just grow like crazy. And they nosh away at things like crazy as well. You may consider these as stackable bins. I'll lift this one up for you. I don't put them inside each other. I think we get better airflow, so I just stack them on top of each other. But you'll see. Squirmies everywhere. That's what gets left of melon. Not much. There's a bit of banana skin there. Bit of mold on it. But there are, don't know how many thousands in here. Green like crazy. And I don't know if you can see that, there's tiny little white specks are in fact eggshells. Look, there's a dendra, and a load of newspaper at the bottom, but there's a big dendra, and there are some FCAs, all quite happily munching away down there. I say you will, I don't know if you pick it up on there, but you will see tiny little white flecks, which are toasted and ground eggshells. I will go and get you a jar. That's pretty heavy. It weighs maybe 1.5 kilos. That is. Oh, those are toasted. a shop. And I actually don't want breathing stuff in too much, but it's blowing away now because the wind is on. That's what they get. And if I just leave that, they will munch away and move all that around. I don't think they like it when it's on top of them. But there you go, Sam. This gets mainly the green stuff. A bit of paper. It gets too wet, but there they are in their thousands. And you can read all kinds of stuff about population rates or whatever, but there are cocoons everywhere in here, the little baby ones that you can see. And I think we just have these pigs in shit. It's not very warm in here, it's about 14-15 degrees. Maybe not mess with them too much. I think they're a lot happier when you look at them. All these gutties there. And I'll just lift this up and show you there's nothing underneath there. Bit of a storage space for bits of paper. You'll obviously see bits of vermicast coming through, but they don't tend to want to escape. But we get lots of nice airflow there. It's not very deep, it's about 6 inches deep, and if that. But there are thousands and thousands of worms in it. Right, wrong way. From this vantage point, you may be able to see that. Yep, that's the flow through that was made this week. What I will do is disconnect this camera. I don't have much money, so you can't, please don't criticise my house or anything like that. But anyway, this is the flow through. Now, that actually stood on the ground. All I really did was raise it up, put those big legs on it. Probably gone too high, but it means I can put stuff underneath. And this had a wooden base on it that had it's got 2x2 supports in it, and it had this one of these very fine meshes which actually got blocked up, and so I bit the bullet, and all I had was curtain rods to turn it into a flow through. And let's see what we got under here. That's how I did it. Here we have the original. Where was my hand? I can't see a thing. These are the original, like 2x2s, and all in between each one of them was put these curtain rods, which I took out of the house when I got here. And there you will see cardboard and paper, which Larry, Garbage Guru, just told me how to put down and what have you. These serve no purpose other than this thing weighs about 50-60 kilos, and I wasn't strong enough to lift it up myself, so I had to support these legs. a bit better than they were here, so I could literally tip it up. Anyway, have a look inside. I don't know if you're going to be able to see very well in there. Here we are inside, and this is literally 50-60 kilograms of vermicompost and worms in there. I got literally 2 days ago got checked in that. About Thursday. I guess that's 3 days now. Talk amongst yourselves when I get the one. Right, there's a bit of lettuce that I chucked in. Oh, already getting inhabited. It's like a funny flat one. This is going to be interesting. I put this in yesterday. It's just an old doormat that I had. It used to be outside. So I chucked this in yesterday, and I can look, they're already inhabiting it. There we go. Look at them. Look at those chaps there. I reckon they're legends. Yeah, they've already started creeping into it. Yeah. Yeah, there they go. Look at them. Those are dendrons mainly, I think. There's an EF down there. But there the guys go. There's a dendron definitely. There's some EFs. You might see the little white bits on the top. Those are eggshells. Splatter those on. Get that out of the way. Let's see. I dread to think where they all are. They're probably still getting used to their new life here. They're all over the place. Yep. There's more of them. Everywhere. There were stuff from 3 tubs, and including the original thing that was in here. They were out for about a week while I got everything together and got it made. I reckon there's probably going to be loads down the back there. So a rotting apple. So, and that's actually the base there, which is, that's newspaper, below that's cardboard. And it's just how Larry told me to do it. It's going to be a lot wetter at the back, because they've not even filled up the front yet. So I reckon it's going to be that. Don't want to really mess them around too much, but there's going to be a few thousand worms in there, and lots of my little pot worms, which I suppose they're competing for the food with the worms, but don't seem to bother them too much. That's a big old EF. It seems to have bred recently. Yeah. So these have had a terrible week of it, so I really shouldn't mess around with them, poor things. So that's what you got there. This is a bit of fancy little thing at the front where you can slip it out and get in there with a shovel and dig around. But anyway, there you go. Maybe I can just do a little bit of a sneaky peek down here just to show you. There's newspaper in there, and the newspaper got wet. I was told not to wet it, so I didn't. But cardboard underneath, and that's what it looks like down there. These are the original wooden 2x2s, which are there. These are the curtain rods that I drilled holes and shoved in and tightened up, so like they're spring loaded, so you could tighten them up very well. So there you go. Don't forget cardboard paper. So there you have the floater. Oh, this is just me messing around. These are modifications I made. Might look like crap. Bulbs and things are coming up. These posts and the concrete, all that wooden fencing was actually in the ground, so I raised it up a few months ago, and I've still got to paint it. Obviously brick this out. If you have a look on the blog, you will see what it looked like in April last year, or April, May last year. So it's changing a bit. There's the bulbs I was messing around with last year, they're going to grow again. There's a few bulbs coming up there, I've planted. That's the shed. That's where the dendrus died. It got very, very, very hot in here. That's where it all happens. It's my racing bike. It's worth more than me and the house and everything put together. The cashew bin. Everything that worms won't eat goes in there. God, that's awful. It's quite disgraceful. I hope you don't have smelly vision. Jesus. Ugh. When I drain that, by the way, that gets shut down the drains. Little plastic greenhouse. There's no space in this place for greenhouse, so it's actually a marvellous thing. It's going to see some use. It's just coming out of winter, so not had much to do with it. That, as you can see, is one of those tumbling composters, and that was given to me by a politician, believe it or not. Local member of the Green Party, and he gave me that because I was away for 10 days, and when I got back, my cleaner who comes in had left a note for me, said she didn't think the fridge was working properly. Well, there was several cubic feet of everything that had gone rotten, and in desperation I got given that and dumped everything in there. That was September-ish last year. It was leaking a bit. Don't like opening it. Mainly organics and greens. And gonna chuck in next door neighbour's grass cuttings because he just finished cutting the grass. So, those are apples. They come from the local fruit and veg store, who give me anything they can't sell, which gets fed to the worms. I don't just produce enough to feed them. So there we go. Looks a bit of a mess, but not much I can do about it. I don't have much money to do about anything with it. Slowly we'll get there. Right. New super duper flow through. Stacking now. I've seen if I do that. Stacking dendrils. That's how they are. Don't put them inside each other, just leave them on top. And there's actually stood on upside down Tesco crates. There you go. There's more dry stuff for them to eat. And a paper shredder. So there you go. Hope that has helped you there. If you want to see what the garden looked like last year, go to Gardener blog, and you'll see how it's changed. And all of that is due to vermicompost. Okay, just for now.